Hey there, and welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm David Bowles, and today I get to tell you about a book I've just published. It's called The Necessary Art: Aristotle's 6 Elements in the Clinic, the Courtroom, the Proof, the Blueprint, and the Republic. I want to start in a room. In 1595, in the Italian city of Padua, a medical student climbed a dark staircase inside the university and came out standing at a wooden rail. The room around him was a funnel of carved walnut, 6 steep galleries stacked one inside the other, dropping toward a single table at the bottom where a body waited to teach. When the anatomy began, every eye in the funnel aimed at one pool of light. Over the place ran a Latin sentence, and the sentence was a promise. This is the place where death rejoices to help the living. That room still stands. You can visit it. And the detail the whole book is built on is this. The Greek word for a theater, theatron, means the seeing place. The men at that rail were watching a performance of knowledge, staged and scripted, and they knew what kind of room they were in. The anatomists knew too. They had built a theater on purpose. The book asks what happened to the word that told them so. For most of Western history, the word art meant something wider and harder than it means now. Ars in Latin, techne in Greek, a principled, teachable discipline of making and doing, judged by its work. The family album that held the painter also held the physician, the pilot, the general, and the geometer. When Aristotle wrote the Poetics, the small treatise that barely survived antiquity through a cellar, a conqueror's cargo hold, and a chain of translators from Baghdad to Latin Europe, he pulled 6 working parts out of tragedy: plot, character, thought, diction, song, and spectacle. Mythos, ethos, dianoia. Lexis, melos, opsis. 6 load points where a made thing carries weight and where it can be built sound or built rotten. Then, in the 18th century, a wall went up. In 1746, a French abbé named Charles Bateau gathered 5 arts, painting, sculpture, architecture, music, and poetry, under a single principle and inside a single fence. The Encyclopédie drew the map. Kant gave the wall its constitution. Inside stood the fine arts, the realm of genius, the things that supposedly could not be taught. Outside stood everyone who works, the surgeon, the advocate, the geometer, the working architect, the founder of a state. They kept the instrument, and they lost the title. Carry one fact out of this episode. The wall is younger than the professions it divided. Part 1 of the book is a detective story, because before you can return a stolen title, you have to clear the record, and the record was forged. The 3 unities of time, place, and action that generations were taught as Aristotle's law were assembled by an Italian commentator in 1570. The surviving treatise issues 1. The tragic flaw is a mistranslation of hamartia, which names an error, a wrong step taken in fog, moralized into a character defect by centuries of readers importing theology into a pagan text. Freytag's pyramid, that triangle on every classroom whiteboard, was published in Breslau in 1863 as practical advice for German playwrights. And catharsis, a word the treatise uses once and never unpacks, was shrunk to a purge. 4 forgeries, as the book says, each with a date and a paper trail. With the record cleared, the book walks 5 rooms and reads each one with the 6 elements in hand. In the clinic, the case history is a plot, and the diagnosis is a recognition scene. The book argues that the greatest recognition scene in the history of medicine was a spectator's dividend paid out in a theater to a young man standing at a rail. the courtroom stages its argument under oath, and the federal rules of evidence read as a dramaturgy. Rules about which stories a jury may hear, built on the hard knowledge that a strong enough story will beat a fact in open court. Mathematics performs its drama on the barest stage there is. When a letter from a clerk in Madras reached G.H. Hardy at Cambridge in 1913, pages of astonishing theorems with the derivations withheld, the first thing Hardy had to judge was character. In architecture, a building is scored action, and Frank Lloyd Wright's Guggenheim is the plainest case. One spiral, one direction, a plot you walk with your body. And in the Republic, a constitution is a script drafted by men who had read their tragedy and were trying to compose a state that would refuse to write its own reversal. Aristotle used a single noun, metabole, for the turn inside a plot and the overthrow of a government. One word, working two theaters. The gravest pages in the book set two Nurembergs side by side. In September 1934, that city staged a party congress as pure spectacle. Leni Riefenstahl arrived with a crew of well over 100 and dozens of cameras. Albert Speer raised searchlights into what he described as a vast room walled in pillars of light. Opsis with nothing under it, a politics of the scene with the argument removed. 11 years later, the answer convened in a courtroom in the same city where the case against that regime was welded the slow way, document upon document, witness upon witness, each incident following because the prior incidents demanded it. The rally and the trial are the two poles of this book, and I think they are the two poles of the moment we are living in. When spectacle leads and plot goes missing, you get the cathedral of light. The remedy is the welded argument, and welding is a teachable art. There is a confession at the end, one I'll let you discover for yourself, about a second treatise Aristotle wrote in History Lost, and about the half of every human art this instrument cannot catch, the half that laughs. The Necessary Art is available now, a 342-page paperback, a Kindle edition, and a free reading edition you can download at bowlesbooks.com. Its dedication says the rest of what I believe. For Jana, and for everyone still standing at the rail. Near the end of the book, there is a standing order, 3 sentences long, addressed to every maker in every room. Build worlds. People can learn true things inside. Weld them, so they hold. Sign. That last word carries the whole argument. Signing is what an artist does. Take the title back. For the Human Meme Podcast, I'm David Bowles, wishing you a good evening and a cooler tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Be a human meme.